Is Michael still smiling tonight? That's what everyone wants to know. We'll get into that, don't you worry. Good evening and welcome to the Scottish Football Social Club as we embrace the last 8 games of the season and just 3 points divide the top 3 now. And an update from the bookies tonight, Michael. It's no longer Hearts as favourites. Celtic have been installed as title favourites now. So what do Alan and Michael think of that? We'll get to it, don't you worry. Look at Alan. He's not sure what to do now. It's not been Rangers favourites for a while.
You disagreeing with the bookies, Hearts, are you?
Well, it is what it is. I'm just happy, mate. Just had a good weekend, enjoyed the football, some good games. Just another exciting weekend in the SPFL.
It certainly was. Just a quick reminder, the Scottish Football Social Club is brought to you in association with SBK and Premier Sports. Let's get our first extra guest on, if you like, tonight. The legend, the Celtic legend that is Peter Grant is waiting to come on. So let's punch him on the show. There he is. Pete, how you doing, pal?
Evening, guys. Fantastic, thank you. I had a great weekend as well.
I bet you did. I was listening to you on Saturday as well, Pete. So we'll get to Celtic and everything else. But quite a few.
You all had a great weekend, huh? Jesus sakes.
I'm just happy to be here. That's the truth, Michael. Just happy to be here. Anyway, listen, there's a few things to get to tonight, get through as well. All the highlights to come. But I just want to touch briefly on the Scotland squad that was named this afternoon. Steve Clarke's named this sort of squad to go into these friendlies that are upcoming. And I guess some sort of headlines are that Dom Hyam's in the squad, Nathan Patterson's back in, Andy Irving gets another spin as well. And then Finlay Curtis is the one I think that's caught the eye, the youngster who's obviously done well on loan at Kilmarnock and showed signs earlier in the season for Rangers as well that he could really perform at the top level. He has got the nod in this squad, and you imagine there's not many more opportunities to experiment. So, Pete, let me come to you in this first. You've been involved in selections like this in Scotland squads. Were you sort of happy with what's been selected, and what do you think on Finlay Curtis?
Well, Finlay Curtis is a top quality player. I think he's going to become that the more games he plays. He's very direct as a winger. It's very unlike Steve to put a young one in, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. We thought that in the Euros he would take some young ones. I know it's friendly matches, but I think if you're looking at a winger who's played all season, I'd have been saying Calvin Miller. Must be sitting back thinking he's disappointed because he's been outstanding in an outstanding team. You know, Finlay's went to Kilmarnock, done exceptionally well. On the game I seen at the weekend, I thought he played well again, very direct and very positive, as you want your wingers to be. And I'm delighted for the young man, but if I was Calvin Miller, I'd be sitting in the house very disappointed.
Alan, you've seen a lot of Finlay. Were you kind of surprised by the inclusion, or is it right to get him in now to try and give him some experience?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, of course, when I first seen it, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it, but I think it does deserve a turn. I think it shows all young kids out there that if you need to go away from your parent club to get experience, that it can be a good way for you to go. I thought he'd done really well at Rangers, going to Kilmarnock with Neil McCann, who obviously trusts in him. He needed that type of player. He's been versatile since he's been there, and he's just grown in stature. So this is an ideal opportunity to bring him in and see what he's capable of at that level. But as Peter said, I'm sure the more that he plays, we'll see even better of him.
We've said this a few times on this show, but you wonder actually if Rangers are actually missing a player like Finlay Curtis, a potential spark right now. So anyway, that's a discussion for another day. Still no Ollie Burke included, Michael. Fraser Hornsby's doing well in Bundesliga 2 as well, although he has been injured recently. Kieran Bowie has been in recent squads, not selected in this one. And just a standout for me, Michael, because all season long he's been on this show as well, but Craig Halkett has been brilliant. And I know he's had a couple of injury issues at times, and I know there's the history in the background there as well. I don't know if that comes into the thinking here for Steve Clarke, but given some of the centre-backs in there, I thought Craig Halkett deserved a chance.
I mean, look, obviously you can talk about, players that have been standouts this season, but then ultimately it comes into, where's the space in the squad as well, and if the positions are pretty full with players that are playing at the top level as well, then it becomes, slightly difficult regardless of how well they're doing. But when you look at Craig Halkett, for me, he's been an absolute standout. He's got himself in great shape. He's missed very few games. Dominic Hyam's in. Grant Hanley's injured at the moment, but obviously is into the squad as well. The manager knows what they're going to be capable of, and I think that's a gut punch, to be perfectly honest, for the likes of Craig Halkett, and I think he does deserve to get in. even if the manager is just testing it out to see how's he settle into the squad with one eye to, as an outside chance, perhaps maybe making the World Cup squad.
Yeah.
What Grant Hanley's capable of. And is Craig Halkett going to be capable of going toe-to-toe with the likes of Dominic Hyam? I personally think he can, and he should. And I think it also sends a bigger, message to just Scottish football in general. This is not to dismiss the Anglo-Scots, but the point is that Scottish fans watch Scottish football. And if you're not making that connection, where possible, I think it's dispiriting for the punters as well to a great extent. You look at the likes of Elliot Watt for Motherwell as well. Somebody else that perhaps you're looking at and thinking, get them in the squad. Andy Irvin's out at Sparta Prague now. As much as we're not seeing him every week, so it's not to say that he's not doing really well. But I also think it's really important for the domestic Scots, where possible, when they're at a level, to be getting that opportunity to get into the squad. And there's 2 friendlies here, and I think it's a little bit disappointing to not see a few of those guys in there. And on the Finlay Curtis one, I'm happy with that. I don't have an issue with that at all. But when you see that and you don't see the others, it's quite obvious that you then start to create that narrative about it's because who he plays for, even though he's out on loan at Killie at the moment. And I don't think that's a healthy debate to be having either.
You'd hope that wouldn't come into it. But anyway, Kieran Bowie obviously doesn't bode well.
Darrell, but that's what comes into the debate amongst punters. And that's what I'm saying to you before.
Steve Clarke can't be bothered by that, can he?
No, I know he can't. But equally at the same time, he can't be dismissive of what the Scottish fans see and think, And I just think there was an opportunity there to get a few other players in there at clubs that are doing extremely well. And I think it's an opportunity that's been missed.
Yeah. And Bowie obviously away, starting, playing in Italy, just got his first goal in Serie A too. We know he can be a spark, can sort of get a goal from nowhere when you need it. But Shanklin's still to come back in the squad. So you'd imagine that sort of knocks Bowie even further down the pecking list if you want. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on from Scotland. We've done a fair few minutes on that. Peter, let's get into the first game then. Aberdeen Falkirk played at the weekend, and Stephen Robinson, of course, name in everyone's mind. Finally the Dons have filled the managerial vacancy. It took them a while. How good a fit do you think Stephen Robinson is there, Pete?
I thought he should win right away. I think everybody thought with Burrow's been there that Stevie would be one of the first names on it. Then when you seen the German guy coming in, I don't know his name, obviously. Maybe he wants he wants to work a certain way. He wants to be on the bench. And maybe Stevie and that had been asked prior to that. I'm not 100% sure. Some managers don't like that. I know it's like they're used to it abroad. But for me, with Stevie, what he's done over the last 3 years, it's not, and obviously his time prior at Motherwell as well, he's done a fantastic job. And I think it's someone like him that needed to be in at Aberdeen anyway. We keep, as you talk about Scottish or British, it doesn't matter. Somebody that's done the league very well and been very, very successful with a limited budget deserves an opportunity. And I'm not being disrespectful to St Mirren, but going to Aberdeen is obviously a step up for him. And I think he will definitely make them a better side. He knows maybe get the players that he wants at this moment in time, but I definitely think you'll see an improvement in Aberdeen. There is no doubt in my mind of that.
The interesting thing is, of course, how this works moving forwards, Alan, because we've heard a lot about Lutz Pfannenstiel and his plans and some of the German managers that were named, linked with the job, and obviously they couldn't get them over the line. Not just German managers, by the way, but managers he knew well too. Couldn't get them over the line. Stephen Robinson's come in, almost got 3 points in his first game, but Lutz certainly behind the scenes at the moment, you imagine, will be steering the transfer. So do you think it's a synergy that's likely to work moving forwards, Al?
Well, time will tell. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did find it strange that there was other managers at the stadium watching games. Do you know what I mean? And then that just doesn't come to fruition. Stephen Robinson's in. Look, I think he'll bring stability. I think he'll steady the ship. The big thing is there's a lot of players there on long-term contracts, and if they don't suit Stephen Robinson in the way he wants to play, it's going to be very difficult to get some of them out. And you're right, Lutz Pfannenstiel will have a big say in determining who comes into that club and probably who leaves as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Look, Stephen Robinson will be devastated that he didn't get that over the line because they needed that 3 points, and to lose a goal so late on, Barney Stewart coming up, great cross in, another goal for him, who's been excellent, by the way, since he came back. He'll be devastated that they didn't win that game, but he's trying to build confidence slowly but surely. I mean, it's been kind of rock bottom for a while now, so it's going to take a little bit of time. He only had 1 day with the team, So as hopefully the weeks go on, he can start to pick them back up.
Yeah, I'll come back to Falkirk just a second. Michael,
you say that, like, you know, Lutz Pfannenstiel is going to have a major say in what's going on at the club, but I'm not sure. I mean, for me, Hutz,
well, he will. He's the sporting director.
But if you just let me finish, and I'll explain it to you. I mean, he clearly is. When you look at, he's been brought in 4 or 5 months ago to run the club, the football side of the club. Stephen Robinson's not his appointment. That looks like a club appointment. So to me, that instantly is putting his position in, you know, an awkward position in regards to the week before. He's got Sandro Schwarz and, you know, looking at the club. They were looking at Hornland before. All these, you know, other alternative appointments that clearly were not based in Scotland, and then a couple of bad results, and it seems to me like the panic button from the club of being, we need to make this appointment now. We need to do it quickly. So these two separate sides of the club don't, and you're talking about synergy, they don't look to me like they're operating as one. Now, Lutz Pfannenstiel may well be able to come on board here and do his thing, but you've got to say at this moment in time, this is another incident at Aberdeen for me that feels like they make a decision and then they make another decision very soon after that that almost undermines what they've just done before. And there doesn't seem to be a continuity. It's jumped from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And if you look at, since Derek McInnes left the club, the number of what you would class as head of recruitment, chief scouts, directors of football, call them what you will, they have gone through so many of those guys that smacks of change. There is no continuity. So Stephen Robinson going in there, by the way, I think that it's a sensible enough appointment because I think they need stability at this moment in time. But my concern at Aberdeen is all the other things that go on behind the scenes. They need to have that synergy. And is Lutz Pfannenstiel going to be able to get on board with that? And that, to me, is not what Lutz Pfannenstiel was brought in. He was brought in to implement his vision. And I don't think what's happened now is necessarily that.
Well, it wasn't obviously his, first choice, clearly, or it would have been done a lot sooner.
Well,
that's
pretty
clear.
Do any of you disagree with that?
No, I think the panic button's been set after Dunfermline. I think that result, they thought they were a possibility they could go down. I genuinely think after that result and that performance, I thought they were going to get dragged into it. And they didn't see a way out. They had to make a manager choice. And I think the chairman sitting there, and if you remember, the camera kept panning on him. And I'm thinking to myself, he's got to make a decision by the weekend. And he did. I didn't think it'd be Stevie Robinson because I thought Stevie would have been one of the first choices, with the background that he's got. So I definitely think he's panicked there. And Stevie's probably want to watch out it because if they wanted Stevie Robinson, they could have got him.
Peter, but the thing is, for weeks before, what we constantly were hearing were, it will take as long as it needs to take to get the right guy. And this now flies in the face of that because Stephen Robinson's the right guy. You could have got him 2 months ago. So this tells you that there are constant shifting sands and changing of decisions, and there isn't a great deal of clarity in the club.
See, on that, Michael, was he on the bench at the weekend? The German
No.
I don't think no.
And that's the first time I've seen him on the bench. He was on it with Thelin. He was on it with Peter Leven. But obviously,
Stephen Robinson wouldn't have that.
And maybe that's why he never got it at the start. Because maybe that was one of his things, stipulations. I don't want somebody sitting on the bench for me. I've got to make the decisions.
They've got a huge.
You would think, though, guys, Michael, you'd think that Stephen Robinson,
a huge squad that you look at number of players that were brought in the summer on 4 and 5 year contracts. Yeah. And you say to yourself, again, I come back to it, who's driving the club forward here? Is it Stephen Robinson now? Is it Lutz Pfannenstiel? Is it Darren Mowbray? In terms of whose vision is it that's leading this? And you need leadership. And unfortunately, Aberdeen, there's too many, what I view is there's too many, it's like the power dynamic at Aberdeen's not working. It feels like there's battles behind the scenes trying to, take power. And my vision should take over. there isn't a great deal of synergy there at the moment. Now, whether Stephen Robinson going in can get a grip of that, time will tell. But it just, look, I've got a lot of time for Dave Cormack, and I've spoken about this before. He's put his money where his mouth is, and he's invested a lot. But I do feel at times that he is changing decisions, which actually are undermining what he's done previously.
I think he can't be faulted because he loves the football club and he's invested. That's absolutely sure. And what none of us know here is, hold on, Michael. Let me finish now, Michael.
Love the club as well.
I know. Let me finish. What we don't know, Al, is maybe Stephen Robinson has completely bought into this Aberdeen project with Lutz as sporting director because he sees it as a great opportunity. We don't know yet.
Yeah, we also know Mikey's fired up for the night. We know that. Yeah. He's on it. He's on one this.
Oh, the Aberdeen fans.
No, I know, but everything Mikey says, like, it talks sense. Some of the things that he comes up with that I didn't really think of, but it's true. Everybody has to be singing off the same hymn sheet. And look, if we've got the new manager in, Stephen Robinson, he's going to have his own ideas of how he sees it moving forward. And if you've got everybody in the background pulling in different directions, it doesn't help. You have to be going to, like, they're in a bad place at this moment in time. That's not where they envisage this club in seasons to come. So they all have to get on board. Whether they can, we'll have to wait and see. But there's some big decisions to be made.
No doubt about it, and some big games to come as well for Aberdeen and Stephen Robinson. Just to go back to Falkirk briefly, Peter, Alan mentioned this, but Barney Stewart, what a revelation he's been. He's been outstanding, and you talk about a club who are all pushing in the same direction. You can feel that at Falkirk at the moment with the manager at the helm. They're re-signing players and signing players today. Now they're going to be in the top 6. They can sort of plan ahead. Craig Sibbald has signed a 3-year contract. He's joining Falkirk next season. So there's stability there. Is that a signing you like?
Absolutely. I was obviously, my son Peter played there along with Craig at the time, and it was a terrific player. I used to see him week in, week out near enough all the time. So he's a terrific signing for them. He's going back home as well. So he'll be delighted at that. And if he's fit, he's as good as anyone at that level. If you know what I mean, playing for Falkirk, he can handle the ball, the way they type of play. John knows him very, very well, obviously, so he'll be a terrific signing for the way Falkirk play. But Barney Stewart has been outstanding. I watched him at Dunfermline. He worked the line very well. He put people under pressure. Maybe never get as many chances. But what I love about him, see when he misses a chance, he's always between the sticks. He's one of these kids, he's not frightened to miss. And that's a great trait to have as a striker. But he doesn't miss that often, and I think it sums up the team, at this moment in time. You create chances for him, he will score goals. And his goal the other evening there was excellent because it's easy to get lost with a defender in front of you. But he said it was terrific, and a fantastic goal. And Falkirk deserve it. John's been outstanding for them, John Miglin.
Yeah. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time, Barney Stewart, which is what you want from a striker, isn't it? Michael, let's move forward. On to Hibs Livy. This one might not take all that long. Not a great point for either in the end. Livy, when they saw the other results in Kilmarnock winning, maybe a bit deflated by that. But they hung in there, Livy, again, because they had to ride their luck.
I mean, look, clearly, from Livy's perspective, the last month or so, things have been better. But they're coming from too far behind. And they, as you said at the start there, a point's not really good for anyone. Livy need 3 points. And even that, as I've said already, I think they're trying to, there's too much of a gap for them to overturn. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be going down. And for Hibs, they desperately need to be picking up 3 points at home against the bottom side to try and close in on Motherwell, that are above them. And, there's a lot of good things. And you see all these, there's so many opportunities from Hibs in particular that it just feels yet again, it's another one of those missed opportunities from Hibs. And there's been a number of them of this season.
That was incredible, that decision.
Well, yes, it is. But if you look at it from where the referees start, from his position, he's got caught in a bit of a blind spot. And I can sort of understand why he gave it.
But no one even appealed.
Sorry?
No one even appealed for a penalty.
But Darrell, the referee made the decision like that. So it's not so much anyone appealing. And if you look at the position he's in, it looks like the attacker is, taking a touch and he's been pulled down. He was in the wrong position, the ref. He wasn't in a great position. But that was why I feel that he's given it. And thankfully, for once, VAR have been able to actually step in and make the right call.
We've slaughtered VAR at times this season, Alan, but thank goodness for that, because that would have been an awful end to the game for Livy if the Hibs get that penalty.
Oh, absolutely. And look, Livy need wins. I mean, I think that's 4 draws on the bounce, and you can say that brings a little bit of confidence to them, but it's just not going to be enough. Hibs made more than enough chances to win 2 games. It's just about being clinical. Again, Nicky Cadden out wide, a lot came through him. McGrath hitting the bar, the post. Like they needed to win that. That's when they really need to put their foot down and just put these teams to the sword. But when they play Motherwell next, they're 6 points off them. They're looking up towards them. If they can get a result there, then you never know. But they're looking up.
Yeah, somebody you spoke about earlier, Al, you're talking about Bowie being away. We did attain some of the chances, but that's what you get when you sell somebody for £6 million, and then unfortunately Hibs can't knock that back. No. You know, when they're in the middle of chasing. So you can see the reasons why, because obviously they dominated the game.
Yeah, he's away. And also in the summer, it's now been announced, Peter, you'd have heard too, that Martin Boyle will finally move on from Hibs. I mean, he's been wonderful for them, hasn't he? What a great option. What a great servant to the club as well. Somebody who you imagine would be missed, not just in the park, but in the dressing room, his influence around the place.
Well, anybody that takes somebody back to their club, you can always tell he's got an influence, you know, and he's been very positive with the younger players. You see strikers coming in there, helping them out, but his work ethic for his team is terrific, you know. He's non-stop, he's always a pest, maybe doesn't score as many goals as he should, the opportunities he gets, but he was one of these guys, if he was on the pitch, you were always concerned about him, because he could get a chance out of him with that pace, and as you say, he can't nearly get the penalty kick the other evening there, just with his pace getting in behind, and the defender gets back to him. But listen, Hibs fans will love him to the end of the season. Obviously, when he goes away, they'll go away with his best wishes for sure.
Yeah, Michael, he's been brilliant for David Gray and every manager prior.
He's somebody that's evolved as a player, because you know when he first joined Hibs, pacey but a bit erratic, and I've got to say that technically he's improved, you know, tenfold since he joined Hibs, because his deliveries, his finishing, all of that side of his game is improved really, really well over the time, and he's changed as a player as well. You know, out and out winger. Then there was a period where, you know, he played as a right wing back almost, you know, from middle to front, fair enough. But he was always working up and down that line. And in the last few years, he's become, a front man, because obviously not having that dynamism and pace that you're wanting him to be tracking back as much. So playing him right up the top. And I think that's elongated his career at Hibs as well, because he's still been very effective. I'll be interested to see what transpires. Obviously, he'll be keen to get himself to the World Cup with Australia and have an impact there. And I suppose, you instinctively would expect that perhaps he may well go over there for a year or two and enjoy some sunshine.
Yeah, not a bad life. Not a bad life at all. Right, Peter, on to Celtic against Motherwell. You were there, you were commentating, watching this game. An excellent 3 points for Celtic in the end. And I was watching as well, and I thought, second...
Oh, no, you were watching, Darrell. You were non-stop flaming messaging me about it.
Listen, you've got to watch. You've got to know what's happening at all the games. You've got to do your homework. But Peter, I thought particularly start the second half onwards, thought the intensity from Celtic was at another level up.
Oh, I agree with you, but I thought Motherwell were excellent for a big period. I thought Celtic got closer to them in the second half. I thought that was a big thing. This ball stayed out, I'm not so sure. But I thought Motherwell, this summed up the goal in the first half. I thought Motherwell done that much better than Celtic. They got against the opposition. When your back was to play, Motherwell were in behind you and didn't allow you to turn. I thought there was too many opportunities Celtic allowed Motherwell to turn in the first half. And this was the first moment to put pressure on the ball, and they got the rewards. And after that, you just thought to yourself, is Celtic going to keep on the front foot here? I think they desperately needed that goal before half-time. But you can see both goals and opportunities. Celtic were much higher up the pitch, putting much more pressure on Motherwell's back line, not allowing them to play forward. And I thought at the end up, the sending off obviously killed Motherwell. But I wasn't sure it was a sending off, but it was a definite free kick. But the defender should be hung for that, to be perfectly honest with you, not watching the ball. It's my biggest bugbear when defenders don't watch the ball, but fantastic for Celtic and ended up being a comfortable end to the game for them.
Yeah, and we'll come back. There's a few other talking points, obviously, the game. We'll come back to that. But Alan on the penalty there had to be given. And I suppose because it's a clear goal-scoring opportunity as well, the goalkeeper was flapping. it has to be a red card, doesn't it?
Well, that's probably why, because look, you would think Maeda would just put the ball in the back of the net, because Longolo gets spun round. He's not even watching where the ball's coming from, and he's probably going to score. So unfortunately for him, yes, he's got a grab of him. He brings him down, stops the goal, and he's not actually trying to play the ball. He's grabbing him. So that's obviously why it was given. And there was a massive change there for Celtic. It kind of swung in their favour. But yeah, as a defender, you just need to, it's your body shape when balls are coming in. You see it quite a lot now. I've seen it in the Dundee derby. You have to open your body up so you can see the player, you can see the ball coming in, and then you can go and affect it. It doesn't do that, switches off, and yeah, that's what happens.
You saw the comment.
When you look at that corner, you know, the penalty kick that comes from it, the goalie's caught in no man's land. You know, it's when you were non-stop messaging me, Darrell, with all these incidents in the game, I did so happen to see that penalty incident, the first one, and you know, it's unfortunate. Well, I say unfortunate. It is that classic, you know, double whammy of penalty kick sending off, and it's killed Motherwell. But that is we've seen a few incidents like this recently where penalty kick's been given and the player's still been sent off, and that is the law if you're not attempting to play the ball. Yeah. That instant there, as much as it is harsh, it's justified, that one, because Longo's only got his arms on Maeda. He's not trying to play the ball at all. There's been a few other instances like this that I think have been highlighting where I think the law needs to change, where you think about up at Aberdeen, I think it was Morrison that got sent off.
Yeah.
And the attacker cuts right in front of the defender. The defender actually doesn't do anything other than he brings him down, and it's a foul, it's a penalty. And the law, as it is at the moment, talks about unless it's a genuine attempt to play the ball, then they should be sent off. And I think it needs to flip on its head. And it should be, if it's a genuine foul, i.e. pulling the jersey, or like we saw there with Longolo, that should be sent off. All other incidents should be, for me, a yellow card, like the one that we saw at Pittodrie a couple of weeks ago. But with that one, I think it was the right call.
That's the penalty done and dusted. I think we'll come back to a couple of other talking points. Michael, I'm only messaging you, mate, because you were at the rugby. You know, you'd had a couple of beers. I'm just trying to do your homework for you. But anyway, Pete, there was a message on screen there from Stacey Devlin saying how good Yang was in the match. He was brilliant in the second half. And even Maeda, you know, I know maybe he's not at the sort of the top of his game at the moment technically, but the running he put in the match as well, it felt more like the Maeda of old to me too.
Yeah, I thought that in the game as well. I thought him and Atati, I thought Yang was outstanding, as you say, in the game. But it was very positive. Even for the goalkeeper's kick for his goal, it was an excellent finish. It wasn't an easy finish because Big Tamas, I don't know how to say his second name, he just stands and doesn't allow the defender to jump. But Yang reads it. He's in off the line. But Gunshun goal and the ball's bounced high and he's finished it lovely with his left foot. But I think even for the first goal, he's positional where he's taken up. Usually you have wide players who stay wide or don't come in far enough, and you're always telling them to get at the back post. But he actually came across the edge of the box and got the opportunity for the first goal. And he was unlucky not to get his hat-trick. But all round, he's been outstanding. Through a difficult period for Celtic, he's probably been the shining light, to be perfectly honest with you. And even through Wilfred Nancy's time, he was doing a role that he had to go up and down the right-hand side, and he was doing it, working tirelessly, trying to do it. And then Martin both times has got the best out of him. So he's been outstanding, thoroughly deserves his rewards at this moment in time.
And to think he was almost off to Birmingham for not a lot of money last summer. And he's
I don't think anybody would argue with that, Darrell, because we've not... I like wingers, especially if you're a right winger, go and take them on. You know, it's too many times he became a passing winger, which a lot of Celtic wingers are. A lot of them are passing wingers. They get the ball and they pass instead of taking people on. To be fair to Yang, recently, he's been much more positive. He still has the moments he passes the ball back, but he's been much more positive and he looks a much better player through it.
Agreed. And now listening to your commentary, Peter, there was a point in the game you were slightly concerned for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Tackle in the first half that Jens Bertolascu was talking about after the match too, saying it was a bad one. Was it a red card for you, Pete? How concerned were you at the time?
I was very concerned because you can see he's went to try and play the ball. And to be fair to just put his foot in, and Alex has got him down the back. But what I've seen this season, it could have easily been a red card, and I don't think anybody would argue with it. If he'd have gave a red card and went over at the monitor, I don't think he'd have changed his mind. You know, that's for sure. So he was very fortunate. And then I didn't know whether the Motherwell manager was talking about the later incident, because obviously that one,
because he'd been booked and he brought someone down at the edge of the box as well. Yeah,
and I didn't know if it was that combination, because I think the first one was more of an accident, and I think you see the player's reaction. He said the same, but listen, I thought he was very, very fortunate. What I've seen this season, I thought he was very fortunate, and yet again, Motherwell don't have that luck. Celtic have that little bit of fortune, and if you're going to challenge for championships, can be the difference at times.
Yeah, Alan, what did you think of that challenge?
The first one is never, ever a red card.
I used to do that every week.
It's not, I mean, honestly, that's where we've got to in football, and it's embarrassing that it's
every tackle's not a red or a yellow card.
Agreed.
In my opinion, I watched that and I just think he gets there first. There's a contact, right? Is what it is.
I don't think his foot got that. He's basically just planting his foot in the.
I think that's where Michael's right. I think Michael's right. I think that's where the height his foot was saved him, because he genuinely was making an attempt. And to be fair, young Just was as well. He was trying to take his foot in.
And by the way, it would have been a sore one for Just. I mean, we've all had it where somebody stands on your foot. It's sore, but it's football and it's contact. And every challenge that somebody gets hurt doesn't constitute somebody having done something wrong. But having said all that, he's unbelievably fortunate to get away with the second challenge without getting a second yellow. I don't understand how he's been able to get away with that second one.
Yeah, I think we all agree, though, it felt right, the yellow card for the first challenge, despite what anyone else was saying. There was another sort of flashpoint in the game that a few people have mentioned, Peter. I don't know if you saw it at the time or not. Dyson Maeda, there's a suggestion that he sort of threw an elbow out here. I mean, what's your take on this one? Because obviously this wasn't punished at all.
Well, I was right at it, to be fair. What he's done is he's moved his body in, because I'm right above it. And at first, he never threw. If you watch it here, I think it's the way the player, his arm was out, and you see the player grabs his arm. That's what people didn't realise. If you watch the striker, he sort of locked his arm. It's brought his arm up, made his arm up. If you watch it slowly again, you can see he's locked his arm. I think, is it Said he called the kid?
Yes.
He grabbed his arm, and he's sort of locked his arm and brought it up. And I think that's why Dyson made it in. He's fortunately doesn't. I think he got a yellow card because he does the pushing, but it was never a red card.
The bit before it, no, that's not red for me. That's just two guys going in challenging each other. All right, he pushes him when he's down, but again, even that, it's like, come on, just get on with it.
It's one of those ones, Michael, on the replay, it doesn't look great because he sees the player coming and he puts the arm across. So it doesn't look great in the replay. I'm not saying we should send players off based on a replay. You have to look at things full speed. But Michael, what do you think?
I'll go back to what I just said about the Oxlade-Chamberlain one. We've got to a situation now where it's a nonsense. Every single coming together is microanalysed beyond belief. If you listen to what Peter and Alan are telling you, that is football. It's because
of VAR. This is why we're doing this, because of the decisions.
You could say that it's a foul because he's checked them, but all he's trying to do there is the ball's been laid off, and he's exactly that. He's trying to get his body across him. He's not throwing an elbow. He's putting his arm out to basically hold him off. And the fact that it gets anywhere close up there is why folk are talking. But in the actual play of the game, that sort of thing, as far as I'm concerned, is normal. Yes, you could perhaps punish it with a free kick. I don't even think it should be even talked about as a yellow card. Maybe a free kick. That's it. But for folk to start talking about, he's throwing an elbow, he's known what... Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's known what he's doing in terms of checking the player. That's not a red card. And honestly, the sooner we get back to actual normal football play, the better for punters in the stand and everybody else that's playing the game of football, because challenges nowadays, it is embarrassing what has been spoken about as sending folk off. Sending folk off? You mean, and I'll go back to this, Darrell. See, when you send a player off, the punters lose out, the player's losing out, and potential appearance money, bonuses, and all. And for what? Innocuous challenges at times.
The problem is, you've hit the nail on the head. The problem is this season we're seeing players sent off for almost nothing. And VAR get involved in reviews where they just don't need to get involved, which is utterly ridiculous. And it's been going on, by the way, for more than a season. I think that's where the frustration comes from everyone, fans included. But you're all in agreement on that one. Pete, I'm going to let you go just in a second. But just on the win, a huge 3 points for Celtic. And what Martin O'Neill's doing is incredible. Does it make them title favourites now?
No, you've still got to say Hearts there in front. They always like to be at the top of the league, and I've always said that if you're Celtic and you're at the top of the league, you like to be chased. I'd rather be in Hearts' position than Celtic's position. I've said that all through. But it's very close now. And it's interesting. I'd like to know how many times Hearts have kicked off after Celtic or Rangers. Because I know the last two, again, with Celtic anyway, they've definitely...
Was that a conspiracy, Peter?
No, you know what I'm saying? They've lost the two of them, Michael, because they lost to Rangers. Then they lost to Killie. But I'd be interested to see that, because I think I was involved in it with Tony Mowbray when we were at the time with Rangers. And we'd be playing a Sunday all the time. I played one Saturday. We played one Saturday out the full season, the 9 months we were there. And it was torture because Rangers had played on the Saturday and you already knew they'd won. And the difference is that 0-0 late in the game, it's your supporters are all nervous on the Sunday if you've not scored. And the players get much more nervous. And I think it's got a big part to play in what we get into now. Because I'd be interested to see how many times Hearts have played last and how many points they've won, if they have many times. Because I know the last two, they definitely have lost both games.
Well, maybe have a look. Michael loves his stats, so he can get right.
Oh, he'll have a look. He's right off of this. He's looking.
Michael's great at the stats. Alan's great for the fixture list. If you need to know who Celtic are playing, by the way, in a month and a half, Alan will tell you. He's right across that, Peter. Hey, listen, one other thing. There's so much talk about, who Celtic turn to next season, and Jens Bertalascu, manager after manager is being mentioned. If Martin O'Neill gets them across this season, across the line, given what he's done, should there not be more calls to find a way to keep Martin on?
I think Martin will just want relief. If he ends up winning the league, he can get away into retirement and sit back with a cold beer. That's what I'd be doing if I was Martin, for sure.
And wait for the next time.
Because this will be his best league championship. If he wins this one, there is absolutely no doubt. All the championships he's won, I'll tell you, this will be his best, because the team's played nowhere near their capabilities, They've not had a centre forward. It's not a Martin O'Neill team, but he's dragged results out. On both occasions he's come back, and it's great credit to him. But I think Martin will move on. I think Martin, it's different now from when Martin was the manager. We need the Suttons and the Hartsons and the Larsons and all that. It's a completely different environment he's in now. And I think he'd be wanting to take a breather after this one. But if he wins the championship, without a shadow of a doubt, this will be his best ever.
Yeah. Sean Maloney, I spoke to him a few weeks ago, Pete, and he did say he thought it would be the best title win ever that he's ever seen or known, given what's happened this season, if they can do it.
Absolutely. I agree with that. That'll not be far away from that for sure. And I don't mean with quality. I don't mean with that at all. I mean with the results of being able to dig in and the performances, because the performances have been nowhere near the levels they should be, and that makes it very difficult. See, if you've got a lot of players that playing predominantly at sixes, if you're lucky, you very rarely challenge for a championship. But Celtic are this season, and I'll say the same for Rangers. Hearts is the one that's been more consistent. There's no doubt that, but it's only 2 points is in it now. Motherwell have been the best team I've seen, and Falkirk, they're the best. Dundee were the best two teams I've seen at Celtic Park. It was Dundee and Motherwell, believe it or not, but the best performances I've seen at Celtic Park. So it's interesting to see how Celtic are going to be championship. But for Martin, this will be his best ever.
Agreed. Peter, so good to have you on the show, mate. I promised half an hour, and there we go. I've kept you for 38 minutes. I'll let you run. Thank you, Pete, and great to see you. We'll see you again soon.
All the best, guys. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Just before we move past Motherwell, obviously it's been a bit of a blow for them. A couple of results haven't gone their way, Michael. Callum Slattery, who I think has been fantastic for them all season. I see some headlines tonight saying they're trying to get him to sign a new deal to stave off League One interest. It feels to me like he's better than that.
Infinitely.
Yeah.
I'd be flabbergasted if there wasn't teams in the Premiership here that are looking at, out of contract as well, and Championship clubs down in England.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be astonished if there wasn't some real interest there. But if there isn't, then potentially Motherwell will be able to keep him, and then it's of huge benefit to Motherwell, and they're the ones that will be reaping the benefits of being able to keep him there, because I think he's a really good player.
Maswodise is away. He misses the next game. I've read he's away in an international tournament, which is slightly weird timing in the middle of a season. But anyway, I just wonder how much of what happens in the summer depends on what the manager decides to do, Alan, because people will come. People will call and find out if he wants to take a job, if he's available. if he does stay on for a while longer, some of these players might be tempted to go again.
You sounded a bit like Kevin Costner there.
Well, of
I
course.
think, is that good? I don't know, is that good?
Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
I think a lot's going to come down to that fact when you're talking about Slattery and guys like that being out of contract, or maybe players with their head being turned after having good seasons, by the way, because they've been incredible. Let's not kid ourselves on. But a massive part of that is what the manager's come in and done. Not only did they make the players that were already there better, but people that have come in and signed for the club, gelled them all together, and they're playing at such a high level at this moment in time. So you have to keep hold of him. I mean, if he was to leave, like, what direction did the club go in? It's not just as easy to say, we'll just get a guy in that's going to play the same style of football. That's not how it works. Obviously, they're buying into everything that he's doing, the message, how he gets it across. He's the leader within there, so he's key for them to kick on and move forward. If they can hold on to him and they can get the right recruitment there, the players that's going to make them better, then they're a real threat. But when you're doing what you are at Motherwell, there is no doubt there's going to be teams watching what's happening.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, absolutely. Right, Michael, we finally get there to Killie against Hearts. What's your take, first of all, on the Jambos' performance? Because we'll come to Killie with Alan in a minute. They were fantastic in the match, I thought. But on the Jambos, are alarm bells ringing, Michael, or is it just a bad night?
Well, I think a bit of both, to be honest. Yeah, it was a bad night, but alarm bells in terms of they've lost the last 3 away games in a row. Yeah. That's got to be majorly concerning. They weren't good enough. They were flat. And, there's aspects of the team that are now, I mean, this is just criminal from Steinwender. It's criminal defending. But he's not a right back. It's a position that's been makeshift all season long. Lovely ball in and great finish from Larsson there. But there are aspects of the Hearts team that have just been sort of getting by, and they desperately need, Shankland and Devlin and McEntee and Finlay to come back in for the final push. Because, as I said, the likes of Kizaridis feels like he needs a bit of support. He can't be the, that one wide go-to guy. Chesnikov needs to step up to the plate. The right back situation, I think McEntee can do a job there, but he's obviously been missing. So there are aspects of the team that have just been sort of getting by, but 3 defeats away from home in a row is a major concern. Yeah, absolutely. Getting back to Tynecastle next week at home against Dundee, who, by the way, are a very dangerous outfit. They weren't great in the derby yesterday, but they've managed to get a point. They're undefeated in 5 now, Dundee. So, every game's huge at this moment in time. Hearts are capable. Absolutely. They're capable. But they need to be getting those big players back into the team and doing well, because I think a few of the guys that are in there at the moment, they've done okay, but at the moment, they don't need okay. They need, they need a step up from that.
There's Cannonballs with the point on screen there as well, making that point as well about obviously Devlin and Shank. They need them back. Clearly, they need that help. They need to kick on again. Alan, do you still sort of retain some belief in them? They're top of the table. They deserve to be there. They've got players coming back. Why not?
But they're still a top side. I mean, they deserve to be where they are. There's no getting away from that. I just like messing about with Mikey and just winding them up as he does with me.
Oh, no, you do.
It's all just jokes, but they did. You listen to Derek McInnes after it. They did look a bit leggy. They did look off it. You see the goal. I think it's a prime example. Dee's stepping out. Nobody challenges them. Then they actually work the ball well. They get it out wide. They start switching off. It's not something that you normally see with the Hearts team. So for the likes of Shankland to come back in, Devlin, who's I think has been a huge miss in the middle of the pitch, his dynamism, the work rate that he does, everything that he brings, they're missing that. So if they can get them back soon, I think it really helps them kick on. But I must say, I thought Killie were excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Just honestly, the energy that they played with, they looked confident after the 5-1 drubbing against Falkirk. They needed something. They've been conceding too many goals. I think it was like 17 in the 5 previous games. So to have a clean sheet, to play with that energy, Tishbola was really good in midfield. Finlay Curtis again looked good. They looked a threat, so they need to build on this. They've kind of bridged that gap now between them and St Mirren. It's looking really tight down there. Some big games coming up. So I'm happy for Neil McCann because he did get an uptick in form. There has been a couple of off games within there, but that kind of proves to his squad that they're capable of taking on a top Hearts side and winning at home. So they need to continue this form on.
Yeah, if anyone's just joined us, by the way, we did talk about Finlay Curtis getting into the Scotland squad right at the top of the programme. So you can always go back on YouTube, scroll back and have a watch at that later if you want. Kilmarnock were brilliant, Michael. You feel like this home form, they ran Celtic so close there not long ago as well. You imagine home form will be critical in the fight to avoid that relegation playoff place.
I don't think there's any question about that. But not only that, you think about where they've been and where they are now. That feels like progress and momentum. Whereas for St Mirren, it just feels like, a few weeks ago when Stephen Robinson was talking about, it felt like there was light at the end of the tunnel. They were getting key players back, and then they were on the end of an absolute hiding against Motherwell. And it doesn't feel like they've really been able to work their way out of that. And well, they clearly haven't, because they're now level on points with Kilmarnock, and it feels like they're just stuck in the mud a little bit here. Whereas Killie, they've got that bit of momentum now. So it's going to be a fascinating, sort of battle for the playoff spot at the bottom of the table. And I just think that my concern, I'm concerned for St Mirren, and that.
Is it between those two, by the way? Will anyone else get dragged in, do you think?
Well, obviously, you look at Aberdeen are 6 ahead of them. You would think that Stephen Robinson would get a reaction from them to have enough that they don't get dragged into it. But, look, stranger things have happened. And above that, you've obviously got Dundee and Dundee United. For me, Dundee are on the up. I don't see. Yeah. There's no way there's no way they're getting dragged into that.
I think it's between Killie and St Mirren.
I do as well. I'm just saying, I wouldn't completely discount Aberdeen at this moment, but I'd be surprised if they were getting dragged into it.
Yeah, now they've got Stephen Robinson sorted. I would agree, but just on St Mirren, Alan, that's the worry, that now they don't have Stephen there. And I know it wasn't going that well anyway, but they could produce on the big day. We saw it in the League Cup final, my word. And you look at some of the players. I know Bacchus is out now long term, which is such a shame for him. It's a long-term injury. He's going to miss a lot of, big potential opportunities for him come this summer as well. So he's a miss. But there's still plenty of other players there who have performed consistently under Stephen Robinson. You still look at that team on paper and you think St Mirren should have enough, shouldn't they?
Well, yeah. I think you look at the squad and they're more than capable. We've covered a number of their games, the semi-final, the final, where you see the standard that they can get to. I worry about them in the league form. Is it no wins in 6, I think, in the actual league. They've now lost their manager. I do worry for them, if I'm totally honest. It's still going to be a hard place to go. Don't get me wrong. They're still more than capable of a performance.
But they barely laid a glove on Rangers, Alan, did they? Barely laid a glove.
And Rangers weren't great. Let's not kid ourselves on neither. It wasn't great. It wasn't about the performance. It was just about 3 points. Get in there, get the job done and leave. But you're right. But I think they've struggled this season in terms of goals. How they want to play. They want to get the ball out wide. They want to get it in your box, play in your final third of the pitch. But I just feel that they struggle for goals. And here, you look at King. Simple. He's actually just stood still and just kind of looked round about him. Again, I talk about body positions, watching where the ball is, where the player, and Romans kind of just sneaks in at the back post.
What was Alan? Overall, that was a huge chance for Chermiti. The front line weren't operating at the top of their game, that's for sure.
But we're used to it, Darrell. We're used to it. Chermiti turns up for whatever reason in big games and he scores goals and hat-tricks and whatever. Naderi hasn't quite. I think he's a good foil in terms of playing up with Chermiti. It makes him play better, but he's not got the numbers. Gassama, you've seen his shot early on in the game, which I don't really know what he was trying to do. Moore's probably the one standout that you think, right, okay, he can make something happen. He's playing at a high level, but in terms of the unit, as in attacking-wise, I don't think it clicks. Unless this boy there is on form. They kind of struggle. That was tight. I mean, really tight.
It didn't look tight with the lines.
I seen the lines. There was about 16 yards in between them, which I thought was a bit strange. But there, I mean, it does look tight to the naked eye. But I reiterate, I mean, it was not a great game. It was just
so
about...
Alan, going back to everything you've just said then, because Rangers seem to turn up for 45 minutes here and there, can obviously put in a big performance against teams like Hearts at home recently. But is there enough there? Or do you wonder a little bit if maybe the penalty shootout defeat the weekend before, has it just psychologically taken something out of them?
I think it's definitely a blow. I mean, you even look at the league game against Celtic and then the Scottish Cup game, there's no getting away from it. I think it definitely dents your confidence. Do I think they can do it? Yeah, I think they're still capable. They're within 3 points. I mean, this is going to be a crazy ending to this league. I'm absolutely sure of it. I still say Hearts are favourites, but I just genuinely don't. I'm not going to nail it on and say somebody's definitely going to win because it could go either way. I think they are capable, but it'll be more like they'll grind results out. I don't really see them finishing the end of the season and playing amazing football and everything coming together. I think they just have to grind it out.
They're going to have to get more from players like Gassama and Scott Volston, that's for sure, Michael.
Oh, there's loads of them.
Loads of them.
They've got 2 games, they've obviously managed to win that one, which is huge just to react instantly off the back of the cup exit. And they've got 2 home games against Aberdeen and Dundee United to get a bit of momentum building. Last game away against Falkirk before the split. So as much as, talking about the impact of drawing at home against Celtic and then losing in the cup, if you're able to put 3 wins together there, it sort of pushes it away slightly. The big concern, I think, for Rangers is obviously that post-split, they'll have to go to Parkhead and Tynecastle, away from home.
Maybe Fir Park as well, as you've said.
Well, no, I don't think they will. No, they won't be going away.
Let's not get into that. We don't have time.
They won't be going away at Motherwell, but they'll definitely be going to Tynecastle and Parkhead. So you're away from home against the 2, title rivals. That's, that would be a bit of a concern in the back of the mind. And when you're talking about the sort of the mentality of the Rangers team over the last few years, not just the team, but I think psychologically the fans are scarred a little bit. So they've got a big hurdle to get over with those 2 away games in particular, if they've got a genuine hope of being able to lift the trophy.
The next one, that Aberdeen game you mentioned, live in Premier Sports. Looking forward to that one this weekend. The game yesterday, live in Premier Sports. Alan, you were there. The Dundee derby. I was watching on. Could not have predicted that finish. I mean, what? I love watching the Dundee derby, by the way, but that was just another mental version of it, Al.
Honestly, I just feel that every game that we've done, the derby, something's happened or it's been really exciting. I've really enjoyed them. But at 2-0, I mean, we're seeing the fans walk out. We're walking around the pitch to do our bit at the end. And I had to stop and I was like, no, surely not. This can't happen. I mean, Jim Goodwin must be livid. Like, he must be livid. Because in the second half especially, I thought Dundee United really forced themselves onto Dundee. The likes of Ferry getting forward, Stevenson on the other side, Fata I thought was really good. And the main boys for Dundee, for whatever reason, just couldn't bring their A game in the second half. So to be up 2-0, and this is the problem for Jim Goodwin, what a bit of skill that was. This is a big problem for Jim Goodwin, that they have been surrendering leads, giving away sloppy goals. He likes, and Charlie brings it up all the time, he's all about defending his box and doing it well. And to kind of capitulate the way they did and give the goals away that they did towards the end, and it was, and draw that game was genuinely incredible.
When you're watching this, I mean, it's unreal to think you're about to see a Dundee comeback.
This is one of the instances that we're talking about. I mean, I really feel for him because I believe that some people I've seen have said that his arm is a little bit out, but I think it's a natural position. I think his arms for defending, you get low, do you know what I mean? And you're in a good position, and then it's going out wide, hits his hand. I don't like the rule. You even seen the one that was the Gogic one with Raskin heads it off, like his hands out. That wasn't given.
Neither of them are penalty kicks.
Agreed.
See people that
I'm just saying how's one is and one's not. That's my problem with it. That's what I'm saying. I'm with you. I agree.
And I hear you. I totally hear you. It's an utter nonsense. And see folk trying to articulate that it should be a penalty. They should honestly get their head examined. An utter joke. I mean, by the way, Ross Graham, what a nightmare last minute. Yeah. It was a stupid foul to give away, to give the free kick. And then to get caught like that, just stretching, wrong position. It was unbelievable. It was so bad. I mean, the penalty kick, honestly, the law allows for a penalty not to be given when your hand is in a natural position due to the movement that you're making. He's turning, getting low, like Hutz is saying, to go and try and close down Ferry that's out there now, because that's where the ball's going. The ball's hit at him from, 2 yards away at real pace. Is somebody actually trying to tell me that his arm is deliberately out wide trying to stop the ball? I mean, just think about that for a second. Think of the utter lunacy of, I'm going to put my arm out, make myself big, potentially get the ball hit off it and give a penalty when it's going away at the corner flag.
Michael,
it's illogical nonsense.
As a defender, you get low. Yes. Centre of gravity, you're ready to pivot, sprint out there, your arms are there for your balance and you're getting ready to go. For me, I just think if you've played the game or understand the game, and there's always going to be these people out there that's going to say, no, penalty. They're always going to be there. I just think from my situation that I've played the game, that would be a normal position to be in. Steadying yourself to get out there. That's how I look at it.
Agreed, Alan. And the other thing is, Michael, just a quick point, but what kills me is we should be looking at these things full speed, because when you slow them down and VAR looks and looks and looks again, it looks so much worse, because it looks like, has he got time to adjust?
Do that with anything.
But in full, you absolutely have. Right. In full speed, what chances he got there?
Because Darrell, you're right. Look, Hutz is talking about, as a defender, you're getting low. You're doing these things naturally. It's a natural action, right? You're getting down. You're not thinking about, I'm going to get low. I'm going to get my arm. It happens naturally. Hence why his arm is in a completely natural position. Hit the ball. Remember the old classic? It was hand to ball or ball to hand. Like these things. I remember about 6-7 years ago when it was you, Darrell, said to me, they're getting rid of deliberate handball next year. And I was like, what? Like,
I know.
So, what? Anyway, you can get a penalty for accident. I'm going, that doesn't make any sense. And they have butchered the handball law, butchered it to the point now where even if you read the law, I think it's got back to a position where if it was applied properly, then it's okay. But the problem is the passage that it's been through has made such a mockery that people genuinely just don't understand what's going on. And then you get this element of making decisions like that when anybody that instinctively knows the game of football, you look at that and you go, hold on a minute, how can you punish Simon Murray and give the team a penalty kick for an incident like that? It's a total nonsense.
Yeah, and I don't think VAR has helped that either. That's the bottom line here.
Honestly, I think
refs are questioning everything now.
But you talk about VAR, right? Like, so what if you look at that and you go, maybe this, maybe. How about you look at the incident and go, what's the right decision here? You might be stepping on the referee or whatever. Make the decision, the right decision. And by the way, VAR wasn't too concerned about stepping on the ref when at half-time, Dundee United had about, 3 corner kicks in injury time. And VAR, Andrew Dallas, is telling the referee in his ear, you're well over the time, you need to be careful here, you need to be careful. Can you imagine if you've got a corner and the ref just blows whistle and goes half-time? Again, no feeling for the game, these officials. Sitting in a room, 100 miles away. An utter nonsense.
I have said for a long time, I do wonder, and I'm not going to ask you about this because we're running out of time, but if there should be a former player in there, fully trained former player in there to apply some common sense to the laws.
A little bit of understanding just to go through it.
Yeah, Al, maybe that's you in the future, mate. Right, just to say, and I've already mentioned this. Rangers against Aberdeen Rangers Aberdeen is live in Premier Sports this Saturday. Don't forget both Scottish Cup semi-finals. games and dates have been named, 18th and 19th of April to come as well, both live on Premier Sports. Guys, thank you very much. Enjoyed that tonight. Hope you did at home as well. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.